Do you ever wish you could just, like, I don't know, go back and start from zero? Hello everybody, and welcome to another countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan. This is for the week of December 24th to the 30th of 2018. I've fallen a little behind, but I'm hoping to get caught up this week. I'm Justus Stone, and this channel is all about light novels, news, reviews, countdowns like this one, and the Light Novel Podcast gets posted here as well. So if you love light novels, or maybe you're just starting to get interested in them, you should consider subscribing. So since I am behind on doing these countdown videos, and well, I'm going to try and, like I said, get the other one done in just the next couple of days so I'm caught up, well, let's just get right to the list. First off, at number 10, with 7,586 copies sold, Volume 14 of Hachi-nan no Grimgar, or as we have it in English, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. This one is licensed by J Novel Club. Now they're releasing the ebooks. They have a deal with 7 Seas, and 7 Seas is releasing the print versions of the novels. Volume 13 of the ebook will be released in February, and Volume 9 of the print release will come out in February as well. Why are we here? Why are we doing this? Before Haruhiro had realized what happened, he was surrounded by darkness. Why was he here? Where was he? Even now, he still didn't know. Those around him were the same as him. No one remembered anything other than their own names. And when they emerged from the darkness, the world that awaited them seemed like something out of a video game. In order to survive, Haruhiro forms a party with the others, learns fighting skills, and as a soldier in the reserve force, takes his first steps into the world of Grimgar. What awaits him there, he doesn't know. This is the story of an adventure born from the ashes. So yes, it is an isekai, but a little bit of a different take on the whole isekai. First of all, it's a group, and second of all, it's the whole amnesia thing that really kind of makes this a little bit different right from the get-go. The other thing that really set this series apart when I read the first volume for me was just the tone of it. In a lot of isekais, we of course have the hero who is overpowered, who usually wins his first battle through just luck, guts, and, well, because he's overpowered. In Grimgar, that is not the case. In fact, these are very average people that are working hard to advance their skills at pretty much the same pace as any average individual. Their first battle is just gut-wrenching and terrible and messy and clumsy, and it was a very, very different tone for an isekai type novel, and it's a series that I have always said that I want to get back to because it was so different in its tone. However, at the same time, I have to say that I've been having so much fun with the more lighter-hearted light novels lately. I'm not too sure whether Grimgar exactly fits that bill. At number 9, with 7,591 copies sold, Volume 2 of Shin High School DxD. We have no English license for the light novels. The manga is licensed for English release by Yen Press. They released Volume 10 in December of 2018, and there's been 4 seasons of anime, which we do actually have available. I believe there's censored ones on Crunchyroll, and uncensored, well, you can seek those out. In any case, this one follows main character Issei, who, you know, is a breast-obsessed teenage boy. I mean, that makes him pretty average. Anyway, he's not had a lot of luck with girls, and finally this really beautiful girl asks him out on a date, and she turns out to not exactly be human, and she kills his ass dead. Although he doesn't stay dead, because, I mean, it wouldn't be much of a light novel otherwise. Instead, he finds himself resurrected by his senpai, and she turns out to be a devil. And now he is one of her servants. And, well, the supernatural opie adventures, hilarity ensues. Yes. This is one of those series that it's really funny because it's very popular, obviously. I mean, numerous anime seasons, the manga and everything else, and I know a number of people who regularly request this series, and yet we have yet to have it happen. Shin High School DxD, with the release of the first volume, there was a little bit of oddity. We weren't sure exactly why it was renamed Shin, but it does turn out that, well, the author just wanted to kind of restart the numbering for the final arc, and for some reason kind of blew it for the actual start of the final arc, and so they've just started renumbering for this final part of the final arc. So it does sound like High School DxD is coming to its ultimate conclusion, though I don't imagine it's going to be for several volumes, because I don't think they would have restarted the numbering just for the sake of 1 or 2 books. So I imagine there's still a little ways to go if you're a fan of the series, if we ever get it in English, which I don't know if we ever will, but I guess, all we can do is keep on trying. At number 8, with 10,207 copies sold, volume number 9 of Isekai Meikyuu de Harem wo, or Slave Harem in the Labyrinth of the Other World. We do not have a license for this light novel series. A man was about to commit suicide and decided to search for a way to die on the internet. But then he found an odd site that asked a lot of questions and had a point-based system that allowed you to create skills for a character. He took interest in it, and when he was done setting his character, he was asked, "You will now be transported to a world with the settings you chose. Coming back is not possible. Do you still accept?" Without thinking much of it, he pressed yes, and found himself in another world with the skills he chose to have. So I took this description offline off the internet, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, so I get it, okay, that's kind of, he ends up with the whole, like, cheat abilities or whatever, and I guess in a way he got what he wanted. His life ended in this world, but where's the whole slave harem come into play on this one? Like, I mean, is that like a red herring? Like, there's not really a slave harem. They just kind of like use that in the title to get people to go, "Oh, I'm gonna read this one." Like, I don't know. I really don't. If you're familiar with this title, if you have sort of a better synopsis that gives a little bit more of an idea of what this actually is about, yeah, feel free to leave that one in the comments down below. At number 7, with 13,387 copies sold, volume 15 of Hachi-nan, soれはないでしょう. Or it's like 8th son, I don't think so, or it's like the 8th son of a poor noble. I haven't found like a really definitive English version of the name. We do not have a license for these light novels. They have actually just announced that there is going to be an anime going into production for this title. Ichinomiya Shingo, a 25-year-old man working at a firm company, while thinking of tomorrow's busy working day, goes to sleep. However, when he wakes up, he found himself in a room unknown to him, and realized that he is inside a 6-year-old's body, taking over his body and mind. He soon learns from the memories of the boy that the boy was born as the youngest child of a poor noble family living in a back country. Having no administrative skill, he can't do anything to manage the vast land his family has. Fortunately, he is blessed with a very rare talent, the talent of magic. Unfortunately, while his talent could bring prosperity to his family, in his situation it only brought disaster. This is the story of the boy, Wendelin von Benno Baumeister, opening his own path in a harsh world. So basically it sounds like, well, obviously it's an isekai again. It sounds like a reincarnation isekai. I'm not too sure whether it's one of those things where it's like, at 6 he regains his memories of his past life, or whether it's literally like he just suddenly finds himself possessing the body of this kid, which is like a whole other level of kind of creepy, to be honest. But anyway, but But the thing I don't quite understand is how the whole magic brings misfortune. I'm sure somebody has mentioned it to me before in the comments. I'm sorry, I guess I didn't take notes and should have added that to my notes. But, if you know more about this title, I'd be really interested to know. Again, like, I understand the whole poor noble and not having much to do with the lands, but what is it about the magic exactly, and what is it that he ends up doing? Like, does he become an adventurer? Does he go off into the world? If you have any knowledge about it, let me know in the comments down below. At number 6, with 14,330 copies sold, Volume 14 of Dungeon ni Deai wa Motomeru no wa Machigatteiru Darou ka. Or, as I can say much easier in English and probably pronounce it actually correctly, is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Or Danmachi for short, which is easier than both of those things. This one we do have licensed for English release by Yen On. They currently have 12 volumes released. They're going to be releasing volume 13 in March of 2019. There was also a 13-episode anime series which streams on Crunchyroll, and it covered the first 5 volumes of the series. This one, of course, we talked about last week. It was actually number 1 last week. Bel Crenel, the young boy who's determined to become an adventurer, who travels to the main city, Orario, which is a city that has been built on top of a dungeon full of monsters. And Bel goes into the dungeon to hunt monsters and gain fame and fortune and maybe pick up some girls along the way. This series, of course, it has a whole bunch of different mechanics to it. It's probably a little bit more complex than what I can get into here. Essentially, it's set in a world where gods have descended from the heavens and now live among mortals and have pretty much given up the majority of their power to do so. But the one power that they do still have is to grant basically this abilities to adventurers, and it allows adventurers to level up, gain new abilities, to basically exceed beyond the limits of a regular person. It's kind of a cool way that it introduces the sort of game mechanic we see in other books, and yet makes it much more of a part of the living world as opposed to the when I blink my eye the right way I see a status window kind of thing that we usually get. It's a really good series. It actually was my top pick for 2018, mainly because the 2 volumes that I read that year were absolutely killer. This is one of my favorite series, bar none. It's just really good, solid writing, and I think it has a really good hero's journey that I have enjoyed a great deal. And I do like that as a series, it does challenge its main character and doesn't always let him win and doesn't always make life easy for him. So yeah, it's definitely a really good series, one that I enjoy, and I always kind of recommend to people if they're looking for something that's a pure fantasy type title. At number 5, with 14,702 copies sold, Volume 8 of Around 40 Kenja no Isekai Saikatsu Nikki, or roughly a man around 40's other world travel diary. This one we do not have an English license for these light novels. Satoshi Osako was a player of a VR RPG, Sword and Sorcery, who defeated the evil god and then died for his troubles. When he awoke again, he found himself in a strange, unknown forest. Furthermore, he possessed his avatar's body and abilities. In other words, he was a cheat. Can a 40-year-old DT live peacefully in this world? Let his isekai adventures begin. Now, I freely admit that I am in my 40s, and so I kind of gravitate towards this title, and I'm like, I want to see this book. I would like to see this licensed in English. I think part of it is because, now, I mean, I haven't read this book, obviously, because it's not in English, but I have found in a few other light novels where the protagonists are older. I do find that there is sort of this slightly fresh take on the whole isekai thing, it kind of gets rid of some of the teenage pratfall type stuff. I just kind of find an older protagonist, usually, not always, but usually, I just kind of find that their approach to things is a little bit more logical. It's a little bit more thought out. The relationships tend to be a little bit more sincere because it isn't like he just totally goes googly-eyed over some cute girl. He actually kind of thinks about what it's all about. So I would like to see this series get licensed. That is one of my desires for 2019, although I don't know if it's really going to happen because it's not that far along and it doesn't have anything really huge behind it like an anime or anything, but I would like to see at the very least maybe some more older protagonists, not just the mid-20s that we've been seeing, but let's hit that 40s, man. Let's do it. Let's see what a middle-aged dude can do in another world. At number 4, with 16,320 copies sold, Volume 21 of Sword Art Online. This one, of course, licensed for English release by Yen On. Volume 15 came out in December of 2018. Of course, we are currently in a brand new season of Sword Art, with it telling the Alicization arc, which up until the release of Volume 21 was the final arc of the main Sword Art series. And this is, of course, the first new material in the main Sword Art storyline since around 2008, which was the point where Kawahara finished the web novel. Funny how, selling almost 200,000 copies per volume can suddenly make you restart your imagination to continue on the series. Go figure. In any case, yes, this one is a brand new arc for Sword Art, with nobody knowing what's going to happen because there is no web novel in existence for it. And already it sounds like there's been one or two little surprises that, granted, I've had kind of spoiled, but I don't care because it's fine. They weren't huge spoilers, and well, eventually we'll get there. I mean, they're releasing maybe about 3 or 4 volumes a year, Yen Press, so we'll be there like probably in the next year and a half, so I can wait. I can wait for more of that. I've got to get caught up with the other Sword Art books first. At number 3, with 17,701 copies sold, Volume 9 of Arifureta Shokugyo de Sekai Saikyo, or as we have it in English, Arifureta From Commonplace to World's Strongest. Licensed for English release by J Novel Club. Volume 8 came out October 28th of 2018. And the J Novel Club translation is getting a print release from 7 Seas. Their Volume 4 came out on December 18th of 2018. And at the same time, we also do have an anime, which is coming out July of 2019. And 7 Seas is also releasing the manga. There's a whole lot of Arifureta for your buck. This one, of course, about Hajime, who is taken to another world with his entire class. He is assigned a very low-powered class for his rank, and everyone in his class kind of makes fun of him, gives him a hard time. Well, Hajime finds himself eventually abandoned and alone in the lowest and most dangerous levels of a dungeon, and he has to fight his way out. This changes him in all sorts of ways that I'm pretty sure most of you as light novel fans can probably figure out. He meets some cute girls along the way and decides to fight the gods. I mean, it's all just another typical isekai light novel series. You know what? Honestly, it's a pretty decent series, man. It's definitely got its moments that I gotta say made me a little cringy on them, but particularly in Volume 3. But overall, you know what? If you're looking for a real sort of like testosterone rage-fueled isekai series with an OP main character, this one will most definitely scratch that itch. At number 2, with 22,418 copies sold, Volume 30 of Hidan no Aria, or as it's otherwise known, Aria the Scarlet Ammo. No active license for the light novels. There was this, I don't know, odd company that no one really seems to know anything about that apparently released the first 2 volumes in English, just in ebook format, and then stopped. So I have no idea what's happening with that. I'm guessing it's stuck in licensing limbo hell for right now. Tokyo Butte High School. It was a special school where armed detectives, also known as Butte, are being brought up. Toyama Kinji is a sophomore student who has the unique body which activates a super mode when it was stimulated by something. He tries to hide it from others in order to live a peaceful life. But trouble came to find him when he became a victim of a bombing incident where he met the Butte High Assault Department elite, Arya H. Kanzaki. And yes, apparently it's stimulation is the key word there with his special ability. I believe somebody said something like it just basically like heightens his physical abilities. I think that was what I had heard. But yes, they were like, it's very definitely like the sort of eshy sides of stimulation in order to activate those abilities, which, I mean, it's a light novel, come on. How else is he going to activate his special abilities? In any case, this one did have an anime some time ago. I don't even know how many volumes it covered. Feel free to leave that in the comments if you know. And if you really wanted to see this series officially in English, I do apologize because I have no idea if that's ever going to happen. Like I said, very weird situation with this sort of small company that is not really a big deal getting this. I mean, it's a title that's gone on for a long time, obviously, 30 volumes. Every single volume always hits the top 10 when it releases, and yet gets licensed to some no-name company. It's just weird. I don't really know how that happened, but, well, I guess it's just a downer for any English fans that actually was hoping to get this one licensed, because it's probably not going to happen for years. Finally, at number 1, with 28,313 copies sold, Volume 18 of ReZero, Kara Hajimeru Isekai Saikatsu, or as we have it in English, ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. This one is licensed for English release by Yen On. Volume 9 will be released February 19th of 2019. And of course there was an anime just a little while back, and it did actually cover up to volume number 9, so finally kind of going to get caught up to that anime. Suddenly, high school student Subaru Natsuki has been summoned to another world on the way back from the convenience store. With the biggest crisis of his life being summoned to another world, and with no sign of the one who summoned him, things become even worse when he is attacked. But when he is saved by a mysterious silver-haired girl with a fairy cat, Subaru attempts to return the favor by helping her track down something that was stolen from her. When they finally manage to get a clue, Subaru and the girl are attacked and killed by someone. Subaru then awakens in the place he was summoned and notices he gained the ability Returns by Death, and has become a helpless boy that only has the ability to rewind time to a certain point by dying. Beyond the despair, can he save the girl from the fate of death? So this series is a really excellent series. Again, another series with really good writing, a series that I love how it doesn't ignore the trauma, both physical and psychological, that dying very awful deaths can have on a person. And not only just that, but even acknowledging the emotional trauma of realizing that relationships that you have built up over time are now all basically being reset. That you have all these memories about somebody, but they don't have them of you. I love that it actually acknowledges the painfulness of that situation, because sometimes his leaps can be days of time in between. It has been a really solid series. I actually just picked up Volume 8 so that I can get myself caught up with this one, because I've done up to Volume 7, but yeah, I want to definitely get caught up this one, and it's in the middle of a really intense arc. Wow, like it gets some kind of dark in this ReZero house, but still, I really like it. It's a really good series overall. This week, I want to say a special thanks to Kyle Block, Shotaku, fixlab.com, and Patrick Mbaihi, and all the rest of my patrons over on Patreon who have been fantastic in their support of the channel. It allows me to buy books so that I can keep reviewing them here, as well as paying for additional hosting for the light novel podcast so we can get it on as many platforms as possible. So again, thank you so much to my patrons, and if you're watching this video, I hope to have more stuff just special for you guys as this year progresses. So that's your top 10 for December 24th to the 30th of 2018. Like I said, in the next 3 days or so we'll get caught up, and I'll have the current top 10 that is out hopefully before the next one, so that I can be, yes, truly caught up to this whole list, and we'll actually be able to say goodbye to 2018. So if you're brand new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed the video, I always appreciate seeing it getting some likes. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye bye for now.